Hey guys, what's up? So, I was just going to do my Christmas special review. Then I received an email just, I would say maybe 10 hours ago, probably, from a guy named Tony Watt. Tony Watt, he is an independent filmmaker, and his films range from the film I'm covering tonight, which I'll get to in a minute, and one called Frankenpimp. And after seeing that this guy decided to, give me a screener copy, A, and B, that he made a movie called Frankenpimp, I'm already liking this guy quite a bit. But basically, I don't know much about this movie, other than the fact that it is one of his newer ones. Only about 40 people on IMDb have given it a rating. So I guess not a lot of people have seen it. But this is going to be kind of interesting, definitely. Tonight's movie is Nosferatu versus Father Pipecock and Sister Funk. Now, from what I at least can grasp from the very lengthy plot summary on IMDb, is that this film is a retelling of the classic film Nosferatu. I absolutely love Nosferatu. It's probably one of my favorite vampire films of all time. I mean, it's just like for it being a silent film, it's genuinely creepy and terrifying, and it's very well made, and it's just it's just one of the big reasons, one of the best horror films ever made. Not one of my all-time favorites, but definitely a damn good one, and I really, really love the movie. That being said, this is a retelling from the director of Frankenpimp. Again, I'll say this again, I've never seen any of these guys' movies, but considering this is a reimagining from a guy that made Frankenpimp, and considering that from what I've read, it's like filled with TNA and stuff, and nudity and sex, I can already tell I'm either in for a treat for something horrible. So I'm just gonna sit here and hope that maybe this guy is the new Lloyd Kaufman. Anyway, guys, let's shut up, kick back, chill out, and watch Nosferatu versus Father Pipecock and Sister Funk from 2014. Okay, so I honestly didn't expect this because I didn't watch the trailer before going into this, but the film is made up of both newly shot footage and archived footage from the original Nosferatu, with dubbing over the archived footage to make the newly shot footage, which has dialogue, and the original silent footage like kind of mix together or flow together a bit well. And I've always kind of liked the idea of using like stock footage. Like even before I wanted to be a filmmaker, I always thought the idea of making a film out of stock footage with dubbing over it would have been, or out of public domain films with dubbing over it, would be a really cool idea. And it's done okay here. The voice acting and acting overall in this movie is okay. It's nothing great. It's obvious that this movie was shot on a very, very low budget. Same with the writing. The writing is okay. It's nothing fantastic. The characters are all very strange and cartoonish, and I mean that in the nicest way possible, because that's one of the big things that kind of keeps the movie at least interesting throughout, is the fact that they're taking these classic characters and making them weird and like gross perverts and yeah, it's just like it's kind of a strange way to do it, but you know, I still got to say that's kind of a positive. The camera work here is okay. The archive footage obviously is very well shot and it looks pretty good. The newly shot footage is pretty okay as well. The visual effects, what there is of like visual monster effects, smoke, stuff like that is again okay. Obviously this film was shot on a very low budget, so I can't hold the fact that the visual effects aren't that good against the film. There's quite a bit of eye candy in this film. There's just quite a few rather beautiful members of the cast, and they help keep the movie. They're one of the many things that help keep the film interesting. It's, as well as, you know, obviously the weird characters and and a lot of the dialogue is really, really strange. Like, it is almost Things level of strange, and Things is one of my all-time favorite bad movies. But I don't know, in Things, it's a lot more. They're the kind of weird characters, and dialogue is actually kind of done by accident, almost, in Things, while here it was done on purpose. The film finds a way of making the classic film Nosferatu into a very crude and sometimes funny, like exploitation, trauma-esque kind of comedy with overtones of blaxploitation films and like exploitation films, old monster movies, and blaxploitation films, stuff like that. It's got a lot of. It's sometimes funny with its absurdist comedy and the nudity as well. All the negativity I see going towards the film, I can completely understand. It's definitely not a masterpiece. Actually, I wouldn't even say that this film is decent. It's you know, I'm trying not to be too harsh on it, because the director did give me a free screener copy, but I have to be, you know, honest and open when it comes to reviewing films. It's a film that I would say is almost decent. Yeah, I would definitely say that it's not a masterpiece, but it's definitely not the worst film I've ever seen. You know, it's not as incompetently bad as, like, the Vomit Gore trilogy. At least here it has something going on and it's interesting most of the time, and entertaining sometimes. I'm sure that with maybe a few, it even recommends this at the beginning of the film, but you know, I'm sure that with a few alcoholic drinks, so a few beers and friends, which considering I'm straight out of high school and I'm only 18, I don't really have many of either of those, so kind of screwed on that behalf. But a few friends, few beers, the movie might be pretty fun to watch. Also, I should mention that the movie is a bit too long for my taste. It's like 2 hours and 14 minutes. The thing is, the actual movie ends at 1 hour and 40 minutes, and then the rest of the runtime is nothing but trailers for the director's other films. As the credits for this film, and then the trailers for the director's other films, which I will admit is kind of a cool thing. But to include all of that in the runtime on IMDb is kind of cheap, because it makes the film seem overly long, when in actuality it's not, and that might drive some people away. On the gore meter from 1 to 10, 1 being something like Nosferatu, and 10 being something like Brain Dead, Nosferatu versus Father Pipecock and Sister Funk is probably a 2. There really isn't much gore to be seen in the film. Yeah, I guess I'll get on to my conclusion. The film, while I will say I didn't like the film too much, it's definitely got style and it has its moments, and the director shows a lot of potential and creativity with the strange storyline, characters, and the idea of taking a classic film and extending the runtime to almost double its regular runtime and making it into a crude kind of juvenile trauma-esque exploitation comedy. It's not for everybody. It's not a film I would recommend to anybody. It's not something that I could even recommend to certain people. It's one of those films that if the title interests you and you're up for sitting through it, again, I will say that the movie is actually only about an hour and 40 minutes long. If you're up, for watching a movie, if you're up for watching a movie that isn't too great, but it still has its moments, if you're in the title interests you, I'd definitely say check it out. It's just one of those movies where I'm just kind of like, it's not terrible, but it's not that good either. I would at least give the movie a 2 out of 5, or maybe a 2.5 out of 5 stars. Like, I've seen far worse movies in my days, and while I wanted to really like this film, and while I wish the film would have been like, I would say, like, kind of John Waters-esque kind of, oh, it's trashy and stupid and gross and juvenile, but it's fun and it's got style and it's charming. But sadly, it's really not that charming at all. Honestly, I think I'm just going to stick to the regular Nosferatu, but I would like to go ahead and thank Tony Watt, the director, anyway. Thank you, man. I always enjoy getting screener copies. And I will definitely check out some more of your stuff. I'm definitely interested in watching Frankenpimp because just the title alone piques my interest. I want to see what you can do with that, and there's also the sequel to it, which is connected to this film, apparently. So I'm gonna have to watch the sequel as well. But anyway, guys, that's it for now. I'm going to sign off and throw this thing together, real fast. It's like 3 in the morning, and I did not expect to be up this late editing and recording a review, but that's what happens when you get sent screener copies and you want to get the review out. You want to get at least good quality review out within the next 24 hours, the next few days. So you guys have a good evening, and I'll see you guys in the Christmas special, which I will upload on Christmas Day. Peace.